everybody, welcome back to my channel. That's Ready Homeschool. I am Mrs. T, and today we are doing our kindergarten curriculum picks for our 2024 to 2025 school year. This is the second year that we are homeschooling this child, so we did do preschool / pre-kindergarten with him. So one thing to keep in mind is we are year-round homeschoolers. So a lot of the stuff that we are talking about here are things we're going to be doing in our kindergarten year, but we're not necessarily going to start them exactly when the school year starts. Instead, we are going to be starting these once we wrap up what we're currently working on with my child. So some of this might start in the summertime, some of it might start partway in the school year, but we will be officially recording our attendance and our state requirements starting in August. So our school year will go from August to about June-ish. So that is the goal. All right, let's go ahead and hop right in now into the curriculum. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because in future videos, I'm going to go over how we actually are going to implement these, as well as do flip throughs, reviews, and talk about the actual curriculum itself and going into that detail. So let's go ahead and start with math. For us, we are going to be continuing with the mathematical reasoning program. So we are on level A right now, and we will probably still be on level A at the kickstart of our kindergarten year. And we will also most likely get to level B, which I don't own yet. We are also returning to a piece of curriculum that we had to stop last year. Just it wasn't the right time for it, but we're ready now, and that's going to be Schiller Learning Math at Home. I'm really excited about this program. All right, so that's basically math for the beginning of our kindergarten year. I do foresee other things coming in partway through the year, but we'll get to it in a future video when we actually go through this content. Okay, now language arts would be the next one. We also want to try to hit, we're targeting 180 days of language arts this next school year, just like math. And for me, language arts is kind of multifaceted. So there's phonics that's involved, there's writing, and there's also reading comprehension and discussion. Now, I did find, and we will be using Blossom and Roots Level 0. It says a Gentle Beginning Language Arts Program. And this is kind of like this one size fits all language arts curriculum. So it includes copy work, reading, discussions, activities, journaling, narration. It does include a lot from these bits and pieces, but to me, this is very gentle. And so we are going to be using this, but then supplementing with additional things. So for phonics, for example, we are currently working through our elemental phonics program. We are just starting level 2, and we will be continuing with this program with my kindergartner in the kindergarten year. Another thing to note is as a family, we are doing Hooked on Phonics, and while that's not his main phonics instruction, he does get some review from what we do as a family with Hooked on Phonics. So we'll be making our way through both of those programs and pulling in independent readers to help supplement the elemental phonics and Hooked on Phonics. Now we are also going to be continuing with Explode the Code. So we have Explode the Code level 1, I believe is where we will be at the start of our kindergarten year. He is in the 3rd book in the primer series right now, which is book C, and it's going really well. We really like this program. So we will hop right into level 1 here and continue using something that we know is working with this child. Now, another thing that we are doing, let's go ahead and actually now pivot a little bit into writing. So for writing, he is at a point right now where he is able to, he knows what letters he's supposed to write. He knows in his mind what it looks like, but we need to work on refinement. We need to work on writing in a space. So in other words, not have, M-O-M if you're writing mom, but rather all in a line. And we're also working on having the letters be nice and close. So understanding that the larger spaces are between words. And he understands that, but we need to refine that and actually put that into action. So we are going to be using the Getty DeBay Level A Italic Manuscript program for our main handwriting program with this child. Now we're going to be supplementing a little bit at home with the usage of a composition notebook. And I did find this one, which is 4-in-1 letters to, or learn to letter. And this basically, it's a guideline notebook. So you start, there are basically 4 steps here, 4 types of pages. They are indented, so your child's pencil will go in the indents and it will guide them. We have capital letters, lowercase letters, and then what really made me want to buy this book is it has the indented ruling, primary ruling, and then it has, or raised ruling, excuse me, and then you go into primary ruling, which isn't raised. But it's going to help my child, I believe, with understanding where he has to put the letters and what size they have to be. Now, one thing we are going to be doing is he has recently shown an interest in spelling. He is always asking me, how do you write, pig, for example? But what's really interesting is we're at a point where I can turn around the question and ask it to him. I said, how do you spell pig? P-E-G. And if I break it out for him with these, 3-letter CVC words, he is typically able to say, okay, that's P is P, E is I, G is G, and he's able to come up with it. But he often forgets by the 3rd letter what he's already said. So we're going to kind of work on that skill in this notebook once he gets through that alphabet. So we will be doing, for example, again, pig, he will spell it and I will write it in pencil. He will then trace it, kind of spelling it again out loud, phonetically, and then saying what letters that he's using. And then he will write independently the word next to the one that we did. And we'll just keep it to 1 word at a time at the beginning here, but we will work on our spelling and we will work on our writing in that way. And again, this is going to be very basic. I'm actually going to come up with the words that we're working on, and it's mostly the words that he will be working on with reading. So the sounds and the blends that he's focusing on at the time. Okay, now let's talk about reading comprehension and discussion. So we are, I didn't feel like we needed to really supplement because the Blossom and Root does go into a lot of this, but I do want to flag that we are still doing this Layers of Learning program from Joellen McCarthy. This is incredible. I will link in the description down below my original flip through on this, but last year we really focused on exposing my child to the literature that is called out in this program, and this year we're going to take it 1 step further into the next layer, which is discussing what we're actually reading in a little bit of a deeper way. So focusing on that reading comprehension and focusing on some of the topics that might be a little bit tough, and understanding what exactly is being discussed in these different picture books. But this is a really good resource. I highly recommend this to anybody who is looking to expand upon a curriculum. This is not a curriculum, but it is a good inclusion to a curriculum. Okay, next, let's go ahead and talk about French and sign language. So I actually had a heck of a time finding a curriculum for French, but we ultimately settled on Les Loustiques. This is a spiral immersion program for teaching French, and it is for preparation for an exam called DELF, which is essentially, it's an exam or a certification run by the Ministry of French Education in France, and it is for children and adults who have different levels who show proficiency in French as a foreign language or a secondary language. Now this is, like, as I said, an immersion program, so it is something that I will be teaching him in French, and and we also will be pulling in like CDs and other things. So this is just one piece of the curriculum. There are actually a lot of different components to it, and I will be doing a flip through for sure of this and talking a little bit more about how we're implementing this. Now, sign language is something that I learned growing up kind of in conjunction with French when I was learning French. And it was very helpful because you can use the movement of sign to help remember vocabulary, structure, grammar, things like that. It actually has a lot in common. Fun fact, ASL is closer to the French spoken language than it is to English. And that's because came from France and was heavily influenced by French and French Sign Language. So actually American Sign Language prepares very well with learning French. And so we are going to be doing them at the same time, but it won't have its own curriculum. So for example, when we're going through our French, If we're covering like colors, for example, we will be working on those signs. So we're going to say, you know, rouge, rouge. So we're going to go over red with the color and the sign. So that way we marry that vocabulary from both into the same kind of study session. And I think that will do really well. Now, one other thing that we're doing that I'm very, very excited about for this subject is we're doing song studies. Hate 'em or love 'em, CoComelon is an amazing resource for learning other languages. So CoComelon has, of course, on YouTube and Netflix and I don't know where else, they have their songs, and most of them are traditional, maybe not most, but a lot of them are traditional American nursery rhymes, nursery songs. We have a lot of other regional songs being pulled in, and then they have their own that they've created. Well, they have a CoComelon French YouTube channel that takes the same content, the same videos, the same songs, and they translate them and they sing them. So they actually correspond and cross really well. It is different than reading or listening to French nursery rhymes that are targeted in the region, because oftentimes if you're going from the ones that are targeted in the region, the words are different. They're not going to line up exactly. But because CoComelon is recycling their visuals, they're trying to align it. So Old MacDonald Had a Farm is going to sing the animals in the same order. So it's really nice to have that comparison, and we will be able to be learning that French through through songs. And what's really nice is practicing singing it is going to really help our verbal. Now, another thing, there is a YouTube channel called MyGo. I have no idea how they are associated with Moonbug or even if they are, but they take a lot of Moonbug's content and they add signs to it. So the same songs that they have in CoComelon that they have in French, a lot of them they have in sign language. So I've gone through and I'm still in this process of finding these songs that are in both French, sign language, and English and pulling this into a song study. So we will be practicing the French, the sign language, and the song in the singing all together and studying some vocabulary that way. I'm very excited about that side of our program. All right, let's get into our next thing, which is ecology. And I forgot to say French and sign language are also going to be 180 days of school. And now ecology is going to be our other, I would say, baseline or core, and that's going to be 180 school days as well. So at this age, it's kind of a mix between nature study and environmental science. And we are using for our nature study just Blossom and Root level 0. It's called My Outdoor Classroom. This is very light, you guys, and a lot of it doesn't even bring you outdoors. I mean, a lot of it does, but some of it you can also do inside. It's not, you don't always have to be outdoors for their outdoor study. But what is going to really make our ecology year shine is this book here. This is from Project Learning Tree. This is Environmental Education Activity Guide for Pre-K through 8. And this book is a hidden gem. I'm so excited about it. In short, it is a project-based curriculum, and like it says, it's for pre-K to 8. And you're going to be learning about certain topics about the environment, about the earth, about ecology systems, and then you're going to learn, this is what makes it so amazing, a problem that is related to it. So we're going to be learning about pollution, for example, and what is the problem with pollution? And they have these projects where you're exploring it, you're diving in deep, and then it gets your child thinking, well, what can we do to resolve this, right? What is the solution? How can we start thinking about how we can fix the problem that we're focusing on? And so you're taking these topics that are a little bit difficult and really understanding the why in it, which is very important. And it's starting to get my child thinking about what our impact can be individually and how that can expand and grow societally and, globally eventually as more people start to advocate for the world. So we have that. Okay, related, we have science. Now science, we're not going to be doing 5 days a week. We are going to be targeting for 108 days, which is 3 days of science during a typical school week. And we are going to be using this one here, which is Building Foundations of Scientific Understanding. Now this one does recommend that you start in autumn So we are actually we're doing science right now. We will be pausing what we're working on to do this because they do recommend doing it at certain times of the year. Now, this book is really detailed and it's really solid seeming, but it is a little bit hard to navigate. And even when you go to search that is one of the things that is a big complaint about the program. The content is great, but it's a little bit confusing on how to navigate through it. So I did buy the recommended guide called Early Elementary Science Education, which really just lays out what you need to pull from that other book and when, and I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, next on our list is social studies. Now, we really did struggle a little bit with how we wanted to tackle social studies, which to me includes history, geography, social justice. It includes an understanding of cultures and peoples and starting to build respect. Respect for ourselves and respect for others, you know? So for us, we are going to be kind of pulling from two different resources as our main spines, I should say. We're going to be going through Book Shark Level A. This is history with reading, and it's focused on an introduction to world cultures. Now, this is meant to go for a school year and going 4 days a week. We are not doing 4 days a week. We're actually only going to be doing 2 days of Book Shark each week. And so this program will go longer than intended. And I will be doing a big unboxing of the content so you can see exactly what's going to be covered there. So that's going to be kind of covering and introducing us to the global, which is great. But I also wanted us to cover a little bit of US history. So we will be going with Oh Freedom, the beginner's level, which is K through 2nd. And again, we're going to kind of take this a little bit slower as well. Okay, the next part here is there is a side of social justice that I think my child we are ready to really start focusing on some of these tougher topics. Now, I will be completely transparent here. I am definitely not a subject matter expert in things like this. I have not experienced a lot of the hardships that a lot of people face in this world today and historically and will tomorrow. So I needed to have some guidance to help educate me so I would know how to educate my child and start exposing my child and having meaningful conversations, and for us to have them as a family as well. We decided to go with the subscription box called Little Justice Leaders. This is a monthly subscription box where you are going to be getting a picture book that touches base on a little bit of a sensitive or more difficult topic. And it provides information for you as the parent so you can go through and educate yourself before even diving in. The last thing I kind of want to mention in social sciences here, or social studies, is a program called the 3 R's. I'm going to read it. It's from the Advocates for Youth, and it is the Rights, Respect, and Responsibility, or the 3 R's program. So in the kindergarten year, what they cover, this is a free program online, I will link it below, but what you're going to be covering with your kindergartner is respecting their bodies and other people's bodies and spaces. We're going to be covering and talking about different kinds of families that are out there. So it's going to be pretty, I would say, not a lot of content, but it's kind of starting this conversation that everybody is different. We need to respect everybody's space. Our space needs to be respected. Our bodies need to be respected. And everybody's family is going to be different. Everyone is different, and we need to respect that and advocate for the beauty of diversity. So we are going to be using this free program online to kind of help help solidify some of those lessons. Okay, let's talk about music. Music is next. We're only going to try to do this once a week, so you're looking at about 36 school days with music, and we are going to be continuing with our Prodigies music lessons. This is going to be this is a program we use our bells with. We have been using it for some time now. We love it. We are going to continue it. And my child will be doing some piano lessons as well. Another thing we're going to be focusing on once a week is healthy living. So I mentioned this in my preschool curriculum video, but we are going to be using the Sesame Workshops 3 PDFs that you can download. I will link it down below along with the other resources we will be using for health. but we're going to be talking about the importance of movement, picking healthy foods, and living healthy lives. So we are going to be also working on honing in some of our healthy living skills, such as properly brushing our teeth, making sure that we're flossing and doing it properly, understanding the importance of water, washing our hands, getting rid of germs, covering our mouth, things that I think my children could benefit really focusing on those skills and making sure that we're setting a really strong foundation of healthy living at an early age. Okay, and the last thing that I just wanted to flag curriculum-wise is I talked to my child and he wanted to learn a couple of very specific things. So each week we on a loop schedule are going to tackle some of his personal interests. Now his personal interests are going to change during the year, and the point is this time is going to be to develop the things that he is interested in. And if he changes his mind, that's okay. And then I need to kind of roll with the punches and start coming up with something to help support what he wants to learn. But he basically mentioned 4 things. He wanted to do sewing, baking, he wanted to do computer coding, and he also wanted to do more activities. So for sewing, I did buy this resource. This is called Sewing for Kids. They do hand sew and machine sewing, and I know about this much about sewing. So we are going to be focusing on learning about fabrics and stitches and practicing with buttons. I also have been saving clothes that have holes in them, and we are going to be practicing on those materials and those fabrics, so that way we're kind of reusing what we have, and that will be sewing. For coding, I did already have this workbook. We will probably pull this in, and this is Smart Start Beginning Coding for the pre-K level, which is pretty exciting. They do have other levels as well. And then for baking, I did already have this at home. He's a bread boy. This is definitely going to be making him happy. This is the best ever bread book from DK, and this actually includes a lot of pictures, like step-by-step instructions, which I think will make this a consumable book for my child. And then for activities, I'm not going to show anything very specific, but we have a number of activity books at home from like Autumn McKay. We have like the Ultimate Preschool Activity Guide. We have like the Prep for Kindergarten. We have a couple of things that we will pull from as well, and we'll probably do those as a family. And again, for these personal interests, we will be doing them on a loop. So once a week, we will have a time slotted for personal interest. And unless he says something specific, we will go through the content that we have in the subjects that I just covered. And that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for sticking around. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. I cannot wait to hear about what you guys are doing. So yeah, thank you so much. And again, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that way you know when we actually implement and get in-depth flip throughs. If there's anything that you're particularly interested in seeing, comment down below so I know to prioritize it. All right, thank you everyone. You have a good one. Bye-bye.